Did you know that you can change the future of a place by changing a story? I'm in El Barrio Creativo in Medellin. We're so close to El Centro, which is highly hectic on a good day, let alone on a bad night. In this area a few years ago, a group of families came together and said, we need to give this place a new future, we're going to give it a new strategy, and then a new story. From the memes we scroll, to the poetry we read, to the DJ sets we dance to, all of it is fueled by strategy and story. And if you don't learn how to put them to work, you might get stuck in the past, which for some of you is right now. So I've brought together a group of thinkers and makers to show how strategy and story can push you into the future. Words can move mountains or put us to sleep. Strategy combined with story can unlock how your words will land in the world and where they will take you in the future.
And that's the whole gig in our business, right? We want to make people feel things. Everything else is kind of a footnote. I want to just share a story with everyone about these four lads from Liverpool who on August 5th, 1966, released one of their most memorable songs ever. The song was Eleanor Rigby. As both a strategist and a songwriter myself, I kind of dug into, well, what made this song, which is effectively just about loneliness, so soul-stirring for so many people. The music was fantastic, right? I have a feeling, though, it was coupled with sense-bound language that shows rather than generic language that tells. And that's what, the pairing of those two things coming together is what really made it stick and kind of get stuck in the memory. Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been, lives in a dream. Second verse, waits at the window, wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? Look what happens, though, when you put generic language in there, it just drains the vitality right out of it. I'm talking about poetry, I'm talking about lyrics, but how do you apply it to advertising? That's called object writing. So the more senses you incorporate, the better your writing breathes and dances. So you want to try to hit all seven if you can. Body is everything you can feel happening inside your body, your heartbeat, your breathing. And then kinesthetic is your sense of movement and position in space. So it's how your body feels itself moving through the world. So what you'd want to do is spend a little time with each one of those senses, as many as you can. So how big does that room sound? If it were twice as big, if it were half as big, just stay sense bound. So when you do, just really push yourself to keep it that. That'll make the language universal and accessible.
Words don't sit still. They turn into viral campaigns and TikTok trends. And sometimes it's not the words we actually say that travel, but the ones left unspoken, the meaning between the lines. That's the fuel behind one of the most powerful creative forces today, the meme.
Memes are culture's stickiest shortcuts to story. What I love about memes is, again, they can feel like this very effective truth bomb. Yes, we can share these beautifully written, eloquent strategy stories, or sometimes we can share, again, like that strategy story and a very short and pointed meme. They're ultimately just shortcuts to attention. I love to call them Trojan horses for our strategy POV. And so sometimes I like to use it on the back end as a way to just like maybe take my 4 points and take my strategy story and then see if I can get it into like a very sticky, like brief 1 sentence, 2 lines. And then I bring that forward as maybe it's like my last, moment in a deck is just those lines without the visual imagery. Something that again, like can just be a very short and like, oh, I get this now. This is my takeaway. This is what I'm gonna walk away with. Again, a little humor is always helpful. But if you can't use humor, you can do a straight face meme. It doesn't have to necessarily be, this amazing comedic moment. And sometimes just using that to edit your language down can be really helpful.
But what about a real world example? Is there a place outside of the advertising world where we can feel strategy and story in person? A place where thoughts and emotions vibrate through bodies. Enter the DJ, part strategist, part storyteller.
Moving people is about persuasion, about influence, and we use emotion to do that, right? So in my world, storytelling is not just written words, it's rhythmic, it's energetic, and it's the feeling that remains when language and word disappear. Basically, a DJ has also a strategic mindset. It's driven by curiosity. Timing is super important. It has to adapt to new environments, patience, and The other key element is observation. Reading the room, understanding social cues. You can think of the dance floor as your focus group, because a DJ is also a strategist who is doing kind of like a A/B testing and optimization in real time about their strategies, right? So there's a lot of work that people don't see that happens before playing. There's the pre-work. Think about the research and the strategy that you have to do, and the context where you are playing shape the story that you want to tell, and you need to think about the emotions and the message that you want to convey with your set. And I put here two structures, one micro and one macro. The micro is called the Freytag pyramid. I didn't know, I did some research. And to be honest, it's kind of like the simple storytelling structure that when I translate that, it's kind of like exposition, climax, and then the release, right? It's kind of the peak moment when you build up, you have a drop, you release. That's kind of like the micro structure. Then on the right, you have the macro structure, which is kind of like the whole narrative arc of a presentation. This is from Martin Bagel. I've been a fan of him for years, and I captured that back in the day. And he reflects, this is the flow when you are telling a strategy, right? Like you have a reflection, and you see in the middle there is a line that defines the emotion, how positive or negative or challenging is the emotion. So first is a neutral emotion, which is kind of like the reflection when you tell a strategy, the reflection, like what is the brand today? It's kind of like the audit and setup of what's happening today. Then you go up and you define the ambition, right? Where do you want to go tomorrow? And then obviously the path between the today and tomorrow is going to be our strategy. So we continue building up and we show our insights and we rebuild the story, which is the strategic proposition or strategic narrative, and that's the climax of the deck, right?
Imagine these words are telling the story of El Barrio Creativo in the hope that this story can change the future of the area. It's just over there. And in a city that has wrestled for decades with painful stories, it was a war zone in the 1990s, this new story is an act of hope. And in times like this, we need more hopeful stories, so much that I'd say to you, may the most hopeful story win.